Hello everyone, Useful11 here, and today I'm back again with another custom video, and today's custom is going to be very interesting, because we got 3 customs that relate to each other in a way. These are 2 narrow gauge, well, I guess cars, and a narrow gauge brake van. So without further ado, let's begin. I love the narrow gauge railway, and I think a lot of other Thomas fans would love the narrow gauge engines too. From the classic series, the new series, and CGI series, there's just a lot of iconic narrow gauge engines. There's Skarloey, Rheneas, Sir Handel, Peter Sam, Rusty, Duncan, Beatles Freddy, Mighty Mac, Duke, Bertram, Smudger, Ivo Hugh, Fred, Proteus, Victor, Luke, and Millie. And that was pretty much it for narrow gauge characters. However, besides like engine types for the Skarloey aka narrow gauge railway, they also got a few like side characters. Like there's Madge, Colin, Kevin, Owen, and Merrick. And of course, the controller of the entire railway, well, at least from season 9 all the way up to now, is Mr. Percival. And, of course, with the narrow gauge engines, let's not forget the 2 railways. We got the Mid-Sodor Railway, and then, of course, our faithful Skarloey Railway, where the engines all work nowadays. But, of course, sadly for the Mid-Sodor Railway, it was closed down. And if you know anything from the railway series, it's said that the small railway is built on top of the Mid-Sodor Railway, where Sir Handel, Peter, Sam, Duke, and Smudger all worked. And another thing about the narrow gauge engines is that basically a lot of them, or basically most of them, all have a backstory in some way, shape, or form. You guys can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I basically know what I'm talking about when I say that. But although and however, rolling stock, especially on the narrow gauge railway, is essential. It's especially like cars and coaches. Of course, there's the tan and blue narrow gauge coaches, the green and tan narrow gauge coaches, the red narrow gauge coaches, Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima, Ada, Jane, and Mabel, and then of course the 2 narrow gauge brake vans, Cora and Beatrice, and then of course there's just narrow gauge cars, as in mostly slate cars at that. So first we're going to take a look at my 2 narrow gauge cars. So, fun fact about both of these cars is that this one was made months ago, like about 5 or 6 months ago, and this one was made about a week and a half ago. So, and for 2 of these things to be the exact same thing, but yet made like many months apart, I think I captured both of the looks of these very well. Now, if you're wondering where did I get this idea to paint them brown, I got an idea like from the episode Trucks for the US, or Rusty helps Peter Sam, from when Rusty's rolling along the mountains tops of the narrow gauge railway, and he's pulling like one of these behind him. Then again, I got the idea from Grandpuff as well, like from the beginning intro with Duke and all that, pulling one brown car in a narrow gauge brake van. So that's basically the idea for these 2, so let's take a look at one of them first. So this one is the first one I ever made, and the body is made out of cardboard. And I glued it to a black running board, but I painted the inside here, the floor of the truck, brown. And then the chassis is 2 separate chassis, a Dart and Steven chassis. I'll explain that another day. And I glued them together as long as I glued the chassis, or no, the running board of the freight car down to the chassis, and it looks pretty good to me. But the second one over here is a little bit different. This is more of a Brio chassis than an actual wooden railway chassis.
So this one I had to improvise a bit because I had all the parts to make another one, but I decided to go ahead and make another one. So the magnets I found and I stuck them on to the chassis here, and then I painted it all black because it used to be orange. And I painted the wheels as well. And I think I need to redo the running board over here because there's some blue showing, but overall, this is pretty nice. And the measurements for this one, I measured off of this one, so they would both be accurate and the same size. So for both of these two small, yet simple customs, I pretty much like them. So without further ado, guys, let's bring in the narrow gauge brake van. And so, the narrow gauge brake van, well, the idea for this I got from Enterprising Engine 93 because Domus Engine made him a custom brown brake van, and I decided to go ahead and do the same. So the chassis was from my old Renee's custom because I didn't like it anymore. And the question is, how did I get this to look so cool? Well, so there's like a little running board right here to hold these were actually two cabs. So the front here was from my Dart. So I kind of tore up my Dart because I didn't like it. So I used his cab, and I took another cab from a Brio engine I used to have back in the days, and I just put them together, and I'm like, huh. And after I glued it onto the running board, it looked good. I painted the roof gray. However, I might need to redo this since the paint is starting to chip a bit, but hey, I think it looks pretty good. Did the lining? It may not look that good, but I think it looks pretty unique. The running board here holding the two cabs together is from the Dart running board, and then these things here on the side, they're basically just Lego pieces painted brown. So yeah, so for all three of these customs, there was a lot of scratch building I had to do here. I think they look pretty great, and I'm very happy with how they turned out. Well guys, I think that's pretty much it for this custom video. I mean, there really wasn't that much to say. However, I took up most of the video going into backstory about the narrow gauge engines and, in fact, the railway in general. And all the engines that we've seen in the TV show, the side characters, all that stuff. And, however, I also hope to, make some custom slate cars. I mean, I do like using cargo cars, but I would like to actually make some custom slate cars for the narrow gauge railway, kind of look like these. To be honest, I think these will do well for now. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this custom video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to see all new upcoming videos. Subscribe to my second channel, Useful Engine 11 Productions. And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram to see any more upcoming projects in the future. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this custom video. Like I said, I'm Useful Engine 11, signing out. Take care, everyone.